Hey, Logan Paul.
Hey, how you doing?
Are you enjoying WWE?
Yes, I love WWE. I always have loved wrestling since I was 8 years old. Now that I'm in it, I'm having a blast.
What is your thoughts you fight with Ricochet versus you SummerSlam 2023?
That was a fun match. We worked hard to make SummerSlam a fantastic pay-per-view, and my match with Ricochet is an ongoing friendly rivalry. He's great on the mic and has tons of athleticism. I'm a fan of the man and the wrestler. It was great working with him and the creative team. I'm excited to see where this rivalry goes.
What do you think of your brother Jake Paul?
Man, I love my little bro. I'm so proud that he's doing well in boxing. I give him tips and advice every day because I know he's going to keep learning and improving. He's got a tough fight coming up against Tommy Fury, which I'm super excited to watch. He's got more fight IQ than anyone gives him credit for. He just makes it look easy.
What was your reaction when Mike Tyson pointed at you when he got done his boxing with Jake Paul?
Oh my God, I was freaking out on the inside. I know boxing is not my life. I'm a wrestler, not a boxer, but it was crazy to have someone like Mike Tyson point at me. And I know the respect goes both ways with Jake and Tyson, so it was one of those moments you pinch yourself.
You was in The Thinning. You play as Blake Redding.
Yes, sir, I did. The Thinning was a lot of fun to shoot, and the director, Michael Gallagher, is actually one of my best friends now. I'm looking for more acting gigs too. Movies, TV, video games. I love bringing characters to life.
What is the funniest moment with Michael Trainer?
Oh man, Michael's a hoot. We made a lot of jokes while filming. I think my favorite moment that we shot was a prank we did on the actress Peyton List. I'll show you. Michael and I were doing some pickups for a scene, and Peyton was right outside of the room we were in. We got this crazy idea of jumping out of a different door when she passed by. It ended up working, and we all ended up falling to the ground laughing. It was so silly.
What was the hardest scene with Peyton List?
Probably the chase scene near the end. We did some of it in a really narrow maze, so it was tricky to get in and out without bumping into the cameras and the crew. We had to do a lot of takes since it was a really important moment for the movie, but we powered through and we're really excited with how the scene turned out. Peyton was tough without a stunt double.
You was in airplane mode. You played as Logan.
That's correct. Airplane mode was my first role, and I loved being able to work opposite my best friend, Amanda Cerny. The whole movie was just silly and fun. There were a lot of improvisation scenes that were absolutely hysterical. I still crack up when I watch it.
What was the funniest scene with Amanda Cerny?
Oh man, there are so many to choose from. I love doing the scene where I was trying to teach Amanda how to kiss. We did a couple of takes and then we broke out in hysterical laughter. We both had our own ideas for how to do it, and it just came out really silly looking on film, but it was so much fun to shoot.
What is your thoughts working with Brittany Ferlin and Chloe Bridges?
Oh, they were awesome. Brittany is hilarious and has a great sense of humor. Plus, she's got some great acting chops. Chloe as well. The three of us had a blast just joking around during filming. We still keep in touch and goof off on social media. They're like family now.
What was the hardest scene with David Dobrik?
There was a scene where I was in a room pretending to shoot a music video, but the shoot was getting way out of hand. There were extras dancing and partying everywhere, and I had to act like I was in control. But the scene was actually very chaotic. We had to keep a lot of energy in the room while we shot. It was a challenge, but also a lot of fun.
You was in Baywatch. You play as Zane.
Yes, sir. That was a fantastic experience. I loved working with Dwayne Johnson and Zac Efron, and the rest of the cast was super talented. The beach scenes were a lot of fun to shoot, and I was amazed by the stunt team and crew behind the scenes. It was a whole new world for me. I learned a lot.
What was the funniest scene with Zac Efron and Dwayne Johnson?
There's this scene where we're all racing on jet skis and just doing crazy stuff. Dwayne and Zach were just goofing around, making jokes and trying to outdo each other. The whole scene was just a mess of water and laughter, and we had to keep shooting to get it right, but we had a blast doing it.
What the hardest scene with Amin Joseph?
Oh man, there was this one scene where I was in a fight with a Means character. We had to fight in the water, and it was really hard to stay balanced. Trying to keep our footing while fighting was challenging, but we ended up getting some great shots that made it look fierce. It was a lot of fun, but a good workout.
You was in Valley Girl. You play as Mickey Bowen.
Yep, that was my second film. I got to work with great actors like Ashley Murray and Jesse Ennis. We shot the movie in the 80s, right in the heart of Los Angeles. The best part was getting to dance to some cool 80s music. It was like being in a time machine. But the hardest part was learning how to actually dance like they did back then. I had some pretty hilarious fails.
What was the funniest scene with Ashley Murray and Jesse Ennis?
Oh, we had so many funny moments on set, but my favorite was this scene where we were doing a dance routine together. We were just being silly and not taking it too seriously. We were all cracking up during the takes. It's amazing how much fun you can have just goofing off with friends, even when you're supposed to be working. That's the magic of filming right there.
What the hardest scene with Nicole Byer?
I think the hardest scene was when we were doing this chase scene through a supermarket. The store was actually full of customers, so we had to round them without disturbing anyone. But we also had to run through aisles and up and down stairs, all while ducked like we were in pursuit. It was a lot of running. And we had a lot of false starts and failed attempts. Nicole was a trooper. She kept running even when we were all dead tired.
You was in Where's the Money? You play as Eddie.
Yep, that was a fun movie to work on. I played Eddie, who was a bit of a troublemaker, but also had a heart. The best part was working opposite Teyana Taylor and King Bach. We all had great chemistry, and it was a blast to shoot the scenes together. I also loved the movie soundtrack. We rapped a lot in our free time. It was like being in our own music video.
What the funniest scene with Teyana Taylor and King Bach?
We had a lot of hilarious moments on set, but the one that sticks out to most was this scene where King Bach was trying to impress Teyana with his cooking skills. He was trying to make a fancy meal, but it was going horribly wrong. He kept spilling, dropping, and ruining everything, while Teyana couldn't stop laughing. It was chaos and it was great. I think we had to reshoot that scene like 10 times.
What is the hardest scene with Terry Crews?
There was a fight scene that was definitely the hardest. It was supposed to look intense and realistic, so we had to really give it our all. Of course, Terry Crews, being who he is, made it even tougher. That man is a walking wall of muscle. We wanted takes. We were all sweaty and sore by the end, but it was worth it. The scene turned out incredible.
You was in The Thinning New World Order. You play as Blake Redding.
That's right. It was exciting to revisit the character of Blake in the sequel. We had a lot of action scenes, and it was really cool to see how the story developed. I had a great time working with Peyton List again, too. The entire cast and crew worked well together.
What the funniest moment with Peyton List?
One of the funniest moments was when we were practicing a fight scene. We were going through the motions, but somehow we both just ended up in the floor. I mean, we were rolling on the ground, struggling to get up, and then we just got caught in a fit of laughter. At that point, we were both a mess, and we had to take a break for a bit to calm down. I'll never forget it. It was just a moment of pure silliness during some intense training.
What the hardest scene with Jana Winternitz?
One of the most challenging scenes was a chase sequence we filmed in the final act of The Thinning New World Order. We had to run, jump, and dodge our way through a series of obstacles, all while delivering lines and looking intense. But Jana, who played my character's girlfriend in the movie, was a trooper. She kept up with all the demands and gave it her all. It was a tough scene, but we got through it thanks to her dedication and skill.
You was in The Space Between Us. You play as buff college kid.
That's right. I made a small appearance in The Space Between Us. I played a role as a college kid who was part of a group of students that the main character interacts with briefly. It was a brief role, but I enjoyed being a part of the movie and working with the talented cast and crew.
What the funniest scene with John Paul Howard?
Oh man, working with John Paul Howard was a blast. We had a scene where we were supposed to be playing basketball together, but we kept goofing off and cracking jokes instead of taking the game seriously. It took us a while to get the scene right because we were both just dying of laughter. We'd mess up our lines or we'd throw the ball way off mark and we'd just end up doubling over in laughter. It was priceless.
What the hardest scene with Joey Graceffa?
The hardest scene I had with Joey Graceffa was a really emotional one. We were filming a scene where our characters were having a heartfelt conversation about the future. It was intense and we had to really focus and bring our A game. Joey was super dedicated and gave an incredible performance, so that helped me stay focused. It was tough, but we both poured our hearts into the scene, and in the end it turned out really well.
You was in Darkiplier vs. Antisepticeye. You play as yourself.
That's correct. I was in the YouTube series Darkiplier vs. Antisepticeye as myself. It was a unique experience to play a fictionalized version of myself battling against another YouTuber character, Antisepticeye. The series created by Markiplier, who also played Darkiplier. It was a fun and weird project where we had to channel a darker side of ourselves, but we had a blast playing it out.
What the funniest scene with Dan TDM?
Working with Dan TDM was a blast. We had a scene where we were playing a video game together, but we ended up trash talking each other so intensely that we were both literally rolling on the floor, laughing uncontrollably. It was hilarious and a true testament to the joy of gaming with friends. Dan TDM is incredibly talented and we had a fantastic time working together.
What the hardest scene with Pamela Horton?
The hardest scene I did with Pamela Horton was definitely a chase scene. We had to run through a series of obstacles and escape from a group of enemies who were trying to catch us. It was a lot of running and jumping and we had to time it perfectly with each other. Pamela was amazing though. She kept up with the fast pace and gave a great performance. We had to do a few takes, but in the end, it was worth it.
You was in Chainsaw. You play as Craig.
That's right. I played the role of Craig in the horror movie Chainsaw. It was a really different acting experience for me, and I had to get into a dark and intense mindset to portray the character. The hardest scene I had to do was a confrontation scene between my character and the main antagonist. There was a lot of tension and high stakes in the scene, and I had to bring a lot of emotion to the role. It was a challenging scene, but I'm proud of how it turned out.
What the funniest moment with James Frey?
One of the funniest moments I had with James Frey was during a particularly intense scene. We were supposed to be in a high stakes situation, but we kept cracking jokes to each other. We couldn't stop laughing at the absurdity of the moment, and we kept ruining take after take. The director finally had to step in and ask us to get serious, despite trying his best not to laugh himself.
What the hardest scene with Kirby Bliss Blanton?
One of the hardest scenes I did with Kirby Bliss Blanton was a comedic scene with a lot of fast-paced dialogue. We had to bounce off each other's lines, and it was tough to get the timing just right. But Kirby was a pro, and she really nailed her lines and delivery. We had a few takes to get it perfect, but once we did, it was just hilarious. Working with her was a blast.
You was in the Raising, you play yourself.
That's right. I had a special appearance in The Raising as myself. It was a unique experience playing a fictionalized version of myself facing a horde of zombies. It was intense, scary, and a lot of fun to film. We had a great team of makeup artists who transformed me into a survivor fighting for survival. Working on that film was definitely a memorable experience.
What the funniest scene with Dexter Fahrenheit?
The funniest scene I had with Dexter Fahrenheit was actually an improvised one. We were doing a scene where we had to pretend to be spies, but we got so carried away with our jokes and silliness that the whole set burst into laughter. It was so funny, we totally forgot about the cameras. Working with Dexter was a blast, and that moment was a prime example of the silly and fun atmosphere we had on set.
What the hardest scene with Kent Allen?
The hardest scene I did with Kent Allen was a dramatic scene where our characters had a tense confrontation. We had to really bring the emotion and the intensity to make it believable, and we did a few takes to get it just right. Kent is a fantastic actor, and he pushed me to give my best performance. We had to work together to make the scene feel genuine, and in the end, it turned out to be a powerful and moving moment in the film.
You was in Can't Take It Back, you play yourself.
I made a special appearance as myself in the movie Can't Take It Back. It was a fun and unique experience to play a fictionalized version of myself in a completely different context. The movie itself was a psychological thriller, and I played a small but memorable role in a pivotal scene. Working on the film was definitely a fun and memorable experience for me.
What the funniest scene with Noah Centineo?
Working with Noah Centineo was a blast, and one of the funniest moments we had together was during a scene where we had to bicker back and forth like siblings. We were both trying to crack each other up, and it took us a few takes to get it right because we were both just bursting out laughing. Noah is a hilarious dude, and he really brought it with the comedy. We actually became good friends after that project.
What the hardest scene with Justin Rodriguez?
One of the hardest scenes I had with Justin Rodriguez was a fight scene where we had to do some pretty intense stunts. We had to do some grappling and throwing each other around, and it was a lot harder than it looks. We had to really focus and execute the moves perfectly to make it look realistic. It took us a few takes, but we finally got it right. Justin is a strong and great actor, and working with him was a blast.
You play as Close Before Midnight, you play as Miles.
That's correct. I played the role of Miles in the horror movie Close Before Midnight. It was a really unique experience for me as an actor, as I had to portray a character that goes through a lot of scary situations. The hardest scene I had with my co-stars was definitely when we were filming the scene where our characters are being chased by the villain. It was a long and action-packed sequence, and we had to do a lot of running and jumping to make it look realistic.
What the funniest scene with Sean Gunn?
Working with Sean Gunn was a blast, and we had a lot of funny moments together on set. One of the funniest scenes was a scene where we were pretending to be superheroes, complete with goofy dialogue and exaggerated expressions. We were both just acting like kids, goofing off and having a great time. It was a fun break from the more serious in the movie, and it was great to just let loose and be silly together.
What the hardest scene with Devin Druid and Amy Hargreaves?
The hardest scene I had with Devin Druid and Amy Hargreaves was definitely an emotionally charged scene where we had to portray a family dealing with grief and loss. We had to really dig deep and channel our emotions to make it feel real and raw. Amy and Devin are both incredible actors, and we all pushed each other to give our best performance. It was a tough scene, but we ended up with a beautiful and moving scene in the final product.
You was in No Service in the Hills, you play as Friend 1.
Yes, that's correct. I played a minor role as Friend 1 in the movie No Service in the Hills. It was a fun and quick shoot, and I only had a few lines in the movie. I remember laughing a lot during the filming. It was a pretty chill and entertaining set.
What the funniest moment with Mike Majlak, who play as Friend 2?
Oh man, working with my buddy Mike Majlak was always a great time, and this movie was no different. We had so many funny moments on set, but the funniest one is when we were supposed to be having a serious conversation, but we kept cracking each other up, and we had to keep reshooting the scene because we couldn't stop laughing. We're just both natural clowns, I guess. Working with him is always a blast.
What the hardest scene with Shelby Harmon?
The hardest scene I had with Shelby Harmon was a dramatic scene where we had to portray intense argument. It was an emotionally charged scene, and we had to really bring the intensity and passion for our character. It took us a few takes to get it right, but we both gave our best performance, and it ended up being a really powerful scene in the movie.
What was your, how was your childhood?
Growing up, I had an amazing childhood. I was surrounded by my loving family and had a great support system. My parents were incredibly supportive of my dreams and interests, and they encouraged me to explore and learn. I was always active and loved playing sports, and I had a strong group of friends who were like family to me. Overall, I had a wonderful upbringing that shaped me into the person I am today.
What your plan?
Well, I'm currently focused on pursuing my passion for acting and continuing to grow my audience on social media. I also have a few other business ventures that I'm excited about, including my creative agency, Maverick, and the Prime hydration drink that I co-created. I'm always looking for new opportunities and ways to challenge myself and grow, so stay tuned for what's to come.
What is your favorite video game?
My favorite video game is a classic, the original Super Mario Bros. It's such a timeless game and it holds a special place in my heart. I loved playing it growing up, and even now, I'll often go back and play it for the nostalgia. The graphics may have improved over the years, but the classic gameplay and challenges of the original Super Mario Bros. Still hold up and keep me coming back for more.
How meet Nina Agdal?
Indeed, it was a fateful encounter at an event in New York City in 2022 where Nina felt compelled to meet me upon learning of my presence. She graciously extended an invitation for me and her friends to join her upstairs for some quality time together.
You have one child.
Yes, I am proud to confirm that I am indeed a father to a beautiful baby girl whom I adore and cherish with all my heart. She has brought immense joy and happiness into my life, and I feel incredibly blessed to have her as part of my family. I am committed to being the best father I can be and providing her with all the love and support she needs to grow and thrive.
What is your opinion, KSI?
I have a lot of respect for KSI as a fellow content creator and as a friend. He's a very talented and hardworking individual who has achieved a lot in his career, and I'm always impressed by his success. We've had some fun and friendly rivalries over the years, but at the end of the day, I have nothing but respect for him and his accomplishments. He's a true inspiration to many aspiring creators out there.
Y'all two make a drink together called Prime.
Yes, that's right. In collaboration with fellow influencer and friend KSI, I co-created an innovative hydration drink, Prime Hydration. We wanted to offer a drink that not only tastes great, but also provides the vitamins and electrolytes to help people stay hydrated. It's been a really fun project, and I'm proud to have worked on it alongside my friend.
KS versus you, August 25, 2018, the boxing ring.
Yes, on August 25, 2018, I faced off against my friend and fellow Ute KSI in a boxing match. It was an intense and entertaining event from both of our communities. The match was a great opportunity for us to showcase our skills and see who would come out on top. While there may have been some light trash talk and friendly banter leading up to the match, I ultimately won the fight by split decision.
What do you regret the most?
As an influencer and a public figure, there are times when I make mistakes and say things I regret. But one of the things I regret the most is involvement in the Logan Paul Japan incident. It was a deeply inappropriate and disrespectful act, and I take full responsibility for my actions. I deeply regret the pain and suffering I caused to the Japanese community, and I'm determined to learn from my mistakes and make better choices in the future.
If you have a time machine, what year? What to go? Why?
If I had a time machine and could travel to any year, I might choose to go back to 1985. It's a year full of pop culture significance with the release of classic movies like Back to the Future and The Breakfast Club, the rise of hip-hop and hair metal, and a world that was just starting to embrace technology. It would be fun to experience that time and see how different yet similar it is to today.
Let's talk about your debut crown. Jewel, how did you feel fight Roman Reigns?
Fighting Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel was an incredible experience. It was a huge moment in my career, and stepping into the ring with him was a dream come true. I felt a mix of excitement, nerves, and adrenaline, but throughout the match, I focused on giving it my all and putting on a great show. I may not have come out on top that night, but the experience of facing Roman Reigns in the ring was absolutely unforgettable.
United States Championship. You became the WWE United States Champion in November 2023 at Crown Jewel in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia by defeating Rey Mysterio.
Yes, that's correct. At Crown Jewel in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, I had the honor of competing for and winning the United States Championship. It was a pivotal moment in my career, and I'll always remember the excitement and thrill of that match against Rey Mysterio. It was a hard-fought battle, but in the end, I emerged victorious and became the United States Champion.
You adopted the WWE nickname The Maverick, which is a reference to your clothing line and media company, WWE.
Yes, that's right. When I joined the WWE, I adopted the nickname The Maverick, which is a nod to my clothing line and media company by the same name. The name Maverick is all about being a confident and independent spirit, always pushing the boundaries and doing it my own way. It's a fitting moniker and one that I take pride in wearing in the ring.
You made your first video age 10.
It's true. I started making videos at the age of 10. At that time, I was just a young kid experimenting with recording and editing, and I had no idea where it would take me. Little did I know, those early videos would ignite a passion that would eventually lead me to a life filled with creativity, entertainment, and a whole lot of fun. Looking back, I'm grateful for those early beginnings and the journey that followed.
Started on Vine as a sketch account in 2014.
That's correct. I started my journey in the world of social media on Vine with a sketch account in 2014. Vine was a platform that allowed looping videos, and I found it to be a fun and creative outlet to express myself and connect with others. Little did I know at the time how much that would shape my future and lead me to where I am today. Vine may have come to an end, but the impact it had on my career was significant.
Thanks for coming. You can say whatever you want.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I'd like to take this moment to express my gratitude to all the fans who have supported me throughout my career. Your love and energy have fueled me to keep going and push myself to new heights. Keep following me on social media and stay tuned for more exciting content and surprises in the future. Thanks again.